This is it. Rings of Power, Season 2, Episode 8. It's finally over. And I'm shocked that that Amazon didn't learn, but I'm also not shocked at the same time. I had hope. It wasn't a lot of hope though. And as the show continued, it every week more and more hope was lost. There was some good stuff, and we'll get into that. But I guess overall, it was kind of better than the first season. But there was so much that Amazon promised, like a massive 2-episode battle, and that didn't even happen. So I'm just disappointed. I'm just disappointed. So, well, I guess, yeah, let's get into it. So we start off with probably the only relatively good part of the show. And it's, of course, the dwarves. And we get the awakening of the Balrog. My only issue with that, or with how it was done, is that it didn't feel as epic as it could have been. This is a very important moment for the dwarves. This is what defines their history. This is Durin's bane. This is leading to the fall of Khazad-dûm, renaming it as Moria or the Black Pit. And I feel like it was just a little bit rushed, and it could have been built up a bit better. However, that being said, that could still happen, as we really only got the killing of King Dane when we still have Prince Dane, or sorry, King Durin, and we still have Prince Durin, which of course doesn't match the lore, but I think that's something that the lore of King Durin and Prince Durin doesn't bother me as much. I feel like they're just going to not have Nain, which is the last Durin's son. Like Durin the Sixth or whatever had the son Nain, and I feel like they're using Prince Durin as Nain and then King Durin as, well, King Durin in the books. So it'll be up to Prince Durin now becoming king and kind of dealing with the death of his father and what they do with this Balrog. So there could still be this moment of the Balrog coming up, or they wake it up again and deal with it that way, and then the Balrog has its big triumphant moment. It's a little bit weird, but there's still a chance there for something to happen. And it was okay in what it was. King Durin had his realization of being evil or corrupted by the greed, finds his true self, sacrifices himself so that his people can be safe in theory. So that part was all good. The Balrog looked great in that it looked just like what Peter Jackson made, and which they did make. That's something that I want to stress. Hold on. Sorry, my allergies have been really bad. The design or the look that Peter Jackson went with and the process in that, Peter Jackson and his team did create. They based the concept off of some of the animated stuff and some artwork that was made by a specific person. I can't remember his name right now. But they did say, like, hey, this guy, we looked at the drawings and the animated stuff, and we're using that as a little bit of inspiration. But essentially, what they made for the Balrog was their own process, was their creation. So they are taking what Peter Jackson made and using it in their show, which is fine. I just think that that's kind of why it looks good, honestly, because a lot of their monsters, I guess, look fine. Amazon's monsters, so this is kind of one of the few things that are good and looks good and work within the show. But yeah, I was just kind of disappointed in its reveal, that it could have taken more time and they could have used more of like the shadows coming alive and darkness itself being like this living thing almost, because of the depths of Mori and the Balrog's corruption and the nameless and all that. I think there's something more they could have played with there. Maybe they'll use that a bit more in a future season, perhaps. But I was just hoping for some of that as we led into the Balrog. But so it did seem a bit rushed, but it still worked. It looked good. Then we have, then we're back in Rune with the stranger and the Harfoots and the stores. The Dark Wizard shows up, talks more like Saruman, has more lines like Saruman, pretends to be good but is actually evil, is able to fool the stranger or tries to fool him, and it's like, oh, well, I can't fool you, so I'll just kind of kill you kind of thing, or, well, weaken you because I know I'm not going to be able to kill you, but we were friends, there's 5 of us. All this stuff that just further emphasizes that this is Saruman. And I know that it can't be Saruman, but it's literally no different than the stranger being Gandalf, right? We knew that the stranger couldn't be Gandalf. We knew that from the timeline, but the way he was portrayed, the way he was portrayed, and the way that Amazon was using him and his connection with the Harfoots and everything, it just said Gandalf. Like, that's just what it told everyone. And you could deny that as much as you wanted, but it was Gandalf. And now here we are, because of course at the end of the episode, it gets revealed that it's Gandalf. He calls himself Gandalf. So the Dark Wizard being Saruman is literally no different. As much as you may hate that it's not Saruman, as much as I may hate that it shouldn't be Saruman, it just is. And you have to stop pretending that it's not, because it's going to be Saruman, and I'm sorry. And I know you hate that, and I hate it just as much. It would be cooler if they used the 2 blue wizards. It would be. There's so much freedom there. But they went with Gandalf and Saruman. How does that make sense? I don't know. Because it doesn't make any kind of sense. Because now we have Gandalf going to Saruman and the Fellowship of the Ring after everything that's happens in Rings of Power and be like, hey, friend, I remember when you killed killed a bunch of Harfoots in the desert and then buried me to kickstart my mission in the world? That was something to laugh about. Do you want to talk about Frodo? What? You're evil? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So we have the Dark Wizard doing stuff, and he betrays the people of Rune. No surprise there. Then we're back in Numenor, and we have this switcheroo of, oh, we can't trust the Queen again. Which I hate this. I hate these plots so much. It makes everything that happened in the previous episodes irrelevant, and the Amazon keeps doing it a whole bunch. Especially with the Queen. Numenor trusts the Queen. Oh, now we don't. Oh, we trust the Queen. Now we don't. Oh, we trust the Queen. No, we don't. Just like, just move past this already. Why did we have this whole, like, her sacrificing herself for Elendil so that he could, or so that she could prove herself to the Valar and the people, if we're just going to turn around the next episode and be like, no, you can't trust her, and we got to kill everyone that is a follower of hers. Because now they're saying that she's being manipulated by Sauron, which also doesn't make any sense, because the people have no reason to even think that that's even possible. There's no evidence of that. So why are they trusting the king of Numenor when they just finished believing that Muriel was right all along because of the whole ocean monster nonsense and that's the sign of the Valar. So I don't understand why all of a sudden people go along with it. It doesn't make much sense. And they do this all the time with Muriel. So it's just so weird. Then what's her face? Irian, Elendil's daughter tries to do some convincing, and then Muriel and Elendil have a moment with the sword of Narsil and what you must do, and then Elendil brings up his other son that he hasn't mentioned before, Honorian, like, whoa, where's he been this entire time? Apparently he's just been chilling on the west side of the island, I guess. I don't know. But I just thought it was really funny that all of a sudden we mentioned this other son, and now he's important. He wasn't important previously, but now he's important, because now we're going to go to him. Even though he's a very important character in the overall story of Tolkien, but whatever, we're only going to mention him now. And then we bring in Narsil, and it's cool. It's supposed to be the same thing, the same shot between Aragorn and Elrond from the movies, which I get. And it's just Amazon reusing what Peter Jackson did, again, to make you remind you of these movies rather than the show, which I just think is always funny. But I also thought the reveal of the sword was kind of lame. Like, this should be an important moment again, just like the Balrog. Like, lead up to this. This is Narsil. This is the sword that cuts the hand off of Sauron. This is an important sword. But we're just glazing past this moment like it's nothing. I don't know. Take your time with Amazon. Take your time. Make these moments matter. And then we're in Eregion, and we're basically at the second part of the fight, which ends in, like, I don't know, 2 minutes. There's elves shooting orcs. This one elf is a genius and decides to not follow the words of Obi-Wan and gives up the high ground, and what happens? Instantly dies. Don't know why he gave up the high ground. He could have stayed up there and just used his one arrow and then ran to some bodies, picked up more arrows, and just kept firing. But nope. He's like, oh no, I'm running out of arrows. I'm going to jump off this roof, land on the ground, and shoot my last arrow. Oh no, I died. I don't know. It made no sense. It was weird. It's pointless conflict, pointless fight sequence that doesn't have any realism based in it or around it, right? When you take it out of context, it makes no sense. So when you look at it within the context of the shot and within the context of the story, it doesn't make any sense at all. It's just really weird. Then Galadriel's seen guiding people throughout the city and trying to escape, and they use the secret tunnel, and then somehow, miraculously, the orcs knew about the secret tunnel because they're sitting there waiting for them. So not only did they know that Galadriel was taking a secret tunnel, but they also knew where the secret tunnel was. So that doesn't make any sense. If they knew where the secret tunnel was, why did we have the whole fight outside of the city? Just go in through the tunnel. Easy. What are the elves gonna do? They don't, like, it's a secret tunnel. I don't know. That just thought that was really weird. So yeah, Galadriel uses this, uses the 9 rings as a barter chip. Be like, I'll give you these 9 rings if you let these people escape and take me to Adar. So the orcs do that. Then we go to Celebrimbor, and again we have some good stuff, but it still could have been slightly better, right? The good stuff being that Celebrimbor is just being resistant now to Sauron's corruption and torture, and he's like, you can't break me, you can't break my soul, you can't break my will, you are nothing, you will be defeated, the rings will be your destruction, all good stuff. And they played with the concept of his body being used as a banner, but it could have gone further, and I wish it gone further, because as gruesome and as terrible as it is, what Tolkien wrote is just so good with that banner stuff of like Sauron just kind of like waving him through the air almost as he marches through the battlefield, sticking it into the ground, and now his body is just there shown to the world. Like, this is your defeat. I won. Give me the rings or you're next, kind of thing. Is so intimidating, and there's so much fear around that, and I enjoy it. And the imagery of that could be so good. So they kind of went there, but then they didn't go all out with it. And I just wish they went all out with it. And then the orcs show up and finds who they think is Sauron. They're like, oh, are you Sauron? And he's like, yeah, I am. Like, oh, okay. And then it just ends there. Isildur and Theo have a moment of bonding about talking about, dead moms, and then they grow closer together. Then Isildur and Estrid have their moment of like growing closer together. Estrid loves him, doesn't want to marry the dude that she's married to anymore. Now Numenor shows up to Pelargir. Kemen is there. Kevin's now shocked that Isildur is there, so he's like, well, that's a little bit weird, but whatever. He reveals to Isildur that his father is a so-called traitor, and that Pharazôn is now king, and basically we're killing all of the traitors, so either join us or die, basically. These people here are going to give us wood, if they want to live, essentially. Then we go back to Galadriel, and we see Adar, and Adar is now his elven self because he's wearing the Galadriel's ring. And we see, this is a moment, and this is something to keep in mind too. This is a moment where we see the power of her ring. Adar is wearing the ring, and all of the orc corruption is gone. We see him as his true self. It heals the corruption. It heals the wounds. He is no longer a tortured elf to look like an orc or an uruk. He is now just an elf. That's important because this conflicts with stuff later. So, anyways, Galadriel and Adar are having their moment. She's trying to say, like, let's work together. Let's fight Sauron. I'll give you the rings, and then you guys can live in Mordor and and live your peaceful lives. We just need to deal with Sauron. And then as this talk is happening, the orcs show up with orc that cares about his family. What is his name? Glug or something like that, which I only learned from this episode. Glug is like, it's too late. And then Glug and all the orcs start stabbing Adar, and I just got confused because like, wait. All these orcs hated Sauron. This was established at the beginning of the season. They hated Sauron. They didn't trust Sauron. They didn't want to work for Sauron. They didn't want to fight anyone. And all of that is thrown out the window. Why? We don't know. This is, again, Amazon just telling us that stuff happened without really showing us what happened. The orcs go to Sauron, and then we're just being told that they're deciding to work with Sauron now all of a sudden. How is he mind controlling them? How is he corrupting them? We don't know. It's just, that's what's happening. And so it's just more evidence of bad storytelling. Because we're just being told things without actually being shown anything. Then Galadriel and Sauron have their fight, or start of their fight. I really hate that this crown is being used as a weapon. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it just really bothers me, and I feel like it's because it's not necessary. You don't need to use this crown as a weapon. You don't need to use this crown as a way to block weapons. It's a crown. I don't know. It bothers me. Maybe it doesn't need to bother me, but it does. And then Galadriel's getting cut. She's getting stabbed. And she's wearing the ring, and the heat, and what? Now the ring doesn't heal her? I don't know. I just thought that was a little bit weird. Gilgalad, Elrond, and Arondir have been captured. Elrond tries to negotiate with an orc about don't burn my books, please. Orcs don't care. They burn books. Dwarves show up. finally and kill all the orcs and save the day. Which then leads, this is what, when I was watching, I was like, wait, what about the Balrog? So the Balrog kills Durin and then goes back for a nap? He's not going to bother going through the rest of Moria? I don't know. Show us what happened after that. Why did the dwarves just leave? There's a Balrog. Don't you want to deal with that? No? Oh, okay. Well, guess Balrog's napping then. For the third time. Back to Galadriel and Sauron's fight. Again, Galadriel's being injured. And the ring isn't healing her. And Sauron's really good at dodging, except he's able to be kicked twice, which I just thought was funny. He's super fast and quick, and he's dodging all these blows. And then every time Galadriel tries to kick him, it lands. I just thought that was kind of funny. So he gets kicked off some ruins, and then pulls out the smolder play, the thirst trap of, oh, I'm Halbrand. You loved Halbrand. I'm Halbrand. Aha, I'm tricking you. So trying to mess with her, more fights. That the choreography's okay. It's not amazing by any means, but it's definitely not bad. Like, it's not super cut. Like, it's not edited in a really poor way. It tells a bit of a story, which is fine. So that part's all good. But then again, she's getting stabbed, she's getting cut. Then the crown is used to stab her in the heart. Like, that's where your heart is. Maybe it missed her heart and is going for some lungs or something like that, but your heart is over here. So she's at risk of being stabbed in the heart there, which maybe that was on purpose and metaphorical. I don't know. But now she basically passes out on the ground. Right? She passes out on the ground. She's laying on the ground. She's basically dying. But she's wearing the ring. She's wearing the ring. Why is the ring not instantly healing her? It instantly healed dark corruption from Adar and healed all of his wounds and his corruption, to the point where as soon as he took it off, it all instantly came back. So it works that quickly. So why isn't the ring instantly healing her in this moment? I don't know. On top of that, she's on the ground. Sauron bends down and picks up the 9 rings. Why doesn't he take the elf ring? It's literally right there. He's already bending down to grab the bag of 9 rings. Just take the ring off of Galadriel. But no, he then stands up, waits for her to stand up, and is like, give me the ring. Like, no, why didn't you just take it? I don't understand. So that didn't make any sense to me. Galadriel jumps off the cliff, lands in a tree. She's obviously not going to die. So weird, pointless suspense there. Orcs show up, or Glug specifically shows up to Sauron. Is like, the dwarves, basically, we've lost to the dwarves. They're protecting the ones that are escaping. We're overrun. What do you want us to do? If we continue to follow them, we'll all die. And then Sauron just kills him. So goodbye, Glug. I'm sorry you didn't get to go back to your family. Then we have Gil-galad and Elrond coming across Galadriel's body because they watched her jump off the cliff. So Gil-galad has the actual healing ring. According to the lore, his ring is the one that heals because Elrond uses it to heal the wound of Frodo, a Morgul blade, which is arguably just as bad as the corruption that Sauron apparently used on Galadriel in this moment, because in Galadriel's wounds, the corruption is spreading. And I guess it came from the crown, but it also looked like it was on the other side of her. She was stabbed in the left side, but the wound looked like it was on the right side to me. Maybe that was just some bad camera angle stuff. But regardless, that's maybe, I guess now that I think about it, that's maybe why they used the crown as a weapon, because they wanted this corruption thing going. But if anyone's ring could help reduce this corruption. It's Gil-galad's ring, but he's not able to do it. But on top of that, she still has the ring, so why don't they just put it on her and magically heal all the wounds? Because it did that with Adar. It stopped corruption that he had, that Morgoth gave him, and this is supposedly Morgoth's crown, so why can't the ring now all of a sudden fix his corruption? Or the corruption that Galadriel now has? I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. But then Elrond puts it on, and we're just... Again, we don't see it. We're just being told that through Gil-galad and Elrond, that their rings combined are able to stop the corruption, even though Galadriel's ring can do so much on its own in some situations, just not this specific one, apparently. Then we go back to the Harfoots and the stores and the stranger, and it's basically revealed that this is where it's kind of revealed that it's Gandalf, because they call him... Grand Elf, Grand Elf, Grand Elf, which in like Welsh or Dutch or something like that translates to like Magic Man or Staff Man or something, or Man of Magic, something like that, which is why his name is Gandalf in Tolkien's works. We see Numenor, moving into the city of Peligir. We see Muriel facing her trials. Elendil is fleeing Numenor, that's now apparently on fire, and is going to his other son. The stranger likes the name Grand Elf, and then by talking to Tom Bombadil, or I guess he finds his staff, he talks to Tom Bombadil, and he decides to call himself Gandalf. That's the big reveal, that it's Gandalf. Big surprise for some of us. Whoa, it's Gandalf. Who would have thought? But to some of you, I know it's because you refused to believe that it was Gandalf, because you kept saying it's not possible. But Amazon doesn't care. Amazon doesn't care that it's not supposed to be Gandalf. It is Gandalf. They don't care so much that there was a random interview I saw with a so-called Tolkien professor that was going around saying like, oh, well, lore in stories doesn't really matter. It's whatever you want it to be. Tolkien changed his mind all the time, so that's why this is okay. And I'm like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. He didn't, change his mind. The story adapted and changed and grew. He didn't just, rewrite everything. There's definitely conflicting things, but it's not like he wrote a story and was like, oh, Sauron's not actually Sauron. Sauron's actually Billy now, and he's a purple wizard all of a sudden. He didn't do something like that. He didn't rewrite and change things. So that doesn't apply here. So I thought that was really weird in that interview. But yeah, then we find out there's another family member. There's so many new family members that characters are just remembering that they have all of a sudden. So we had Elendil remember that he had another son, and now Durin apparently has a brother all of a sudden, which supposedly people said that he was mentioned in the first season, which in just one quick line, and maybe he was, I just don't remember that. But regardless, why is he now only being talked about again? Why is this so random that he's being talked about? So I don't know. That was another just random ass family member that appeared. But Celeborn and Galadriel's daughter, Celebrind, they don't matter. Her husband and daughter don't matter, but every other random family member matters, especially the ones that we just made up, because Durin doesn't technically have a brother, but he does here in this story. So we've just replaced Celeborn with a made-up character, I guess. I don't know. And then we have the elves in the valley, and they're in Rivendell, or what's going to be Rivendell, and they're discussing on their next steps on how to deal with Sauron. And I'm assuming they're essentially leading up to the Battle of the Last Alliance, but they need allies, so they don't know where to go to yet. So I'm assuming if Season 3 does happen, the elves are going to try to work with Numenor to defeat Sauron. How that makes it to 5 seasons, I don't know, but here we are. And that's it. That's how the season ends. Kind of a boring season finale. Nothing that exciting. I don't know if another episode is going. I don't know if another season is going to happen. Amazon has said that the numbers were 60 to 70% lower at the end of the season than they were at the start of the season, and they're already half as low as the first season. First season had something like 2 million views, and then or 100 million, sorry, something like that, and then we're now down to like 55 million. So yeah, there's a lot less people watching, and Amazon hasn't technically greenlit a third season as of right now. It hasn't. So this is also why it takes so long for the seasons to come out, because Amazon doesn't greenlit them right away. So we'll have to see how that goes. I did read something that they're working on getting different writers for the show, so maybe that'll help save it, but there's a lot of lore issues that you're going to have to fix, so good luck to those writers. But yeah, that's the end of Rings of Power. That's the end of the story for now. And that's kind of the end for Lord of the Rings content for a while. We have War of the Rohirrim coming out near the end of December, so that'll be exciting. I have really high hopes for that. So hopefully it doesn't disappoint. And then, of course, we have Hunt for Golem that comes out next year or the year after. So we'll see how that goes. But thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around and joining us on this adventure through Rings of Power. As always, if you liked the show, talk about it. If you don't like what I have to say, bring it up. I'm totally willing to have discussions here. Totally willing to have discussions. So let's talk about it. But yes, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.